Storytime about how my boyfriend gave me sleeping pills before his boys' night out. I had been dating my boyfriend for a year and we always had a pretty trusting relationship. One weekend, he was going to have a boys' night out with his friends and I was going to stay home. However, earlier in the day, we had gone into an argument about how he never checks his phone while he's out or replies to my text to check in. He said he shouldn't have to check in with me while he's out and I disagreed because I just want to make sure that he's okay. Fast forward to later that night when he's getting ready, I told him that even though we're fighting, I still expect him to keep in touch with me. He agrees this time without putting up a fight and asks me if I want to have a drink with him before he goes. He makes us some cocktails and we drink them together while we wait for his friends to come pick him up. When his friends get there, he kisses me goodbye and leaves. Not even half an hour later, I'm knocked out cold. I remember waking up once just for a second to use the bathroom, but then knocking out again. In the morning when I woke up, he was asleep next to me and I was really confused as to why I slept so much when I wasn't even tired. When my boyfriend woke up, he mentioned how nice it was that I hadn't messaged him and how I must have slept through the night after those cocktails. This raised some red flags and I quickly questioned him about what was in the cocktails. At first, he called me crazy and told me that he didn't do anything to them. However, after about 20 minutes of accusing him, he finally confessed. Part 2. My boyfriend gave me sleeping pills before his boys' night out. After I accused my boyfriend of messing with the cocktails, he admitted to putting a couple Benadryl in my drink. This, mixed with the alcohol, is what made me extremely sleepy and caused me to knock out for the whole night. I was furious when he said it. He clearly didn't see a problem with it and even made a joke about how he should do it more often when he doesn't want me pestering him. I freaked out at him and told him that what he did was not only wrong, but could also be a crime. I think this scared him a bit because he quickly started apologizing and promising to never do it again. Obviously, I'm not stupid and I wasn't going to stay with someone who would do that to me. I quickly called my family who came rushing over. I packed my things and my brothers kept my now ex in the other room and threatening him not to come around me. I got all my things together with my mom and my sister and left him that very day. He wouldn't stop blowing up my phone with apologies and sending sorry gifts to my work. I had to block his number and threaten him with a restraining order if he ever tried to talk to me again. I was horrified that someone would go to those lengths and I couldn't trust him after this. He even tried to get his family to text me to get back together with him, but when I told them why we broke up, they were shocked too. They apologized profusely on his behalf and told me to stay safe. I just found out that my daughter is engaged and getting married to a man who is 20 years older than her. She's 19 and he's almost 40. Apparently, she's been seeing this man for the last 6 months and recently announced their engagement. I am in disbelief. What makes it worse is that she had confided in my sister, her aunt, about this when she first started seeing this guy. My sister encouraged her to do what makes her happy and basically pushed her into this relationship. Now she swears up and down that he's the love of her life and they're meant to be. She just told me about the relationship 2 weeks ago because she said she knew her father and I wouldn't be okay with it and was afraid of my reaction. She wanted me to meet her future husband before she introduced him to the rest of the family, so she invited me to brunch with them. When I arrived, I could instantly tell that this man knew what he was doing. I can't fathom what a 19-year-old and a 40-year-old have in common. I know this man is well off from the way he spoke about work. I could feel my teeth grit every time he put his hand on my daughter's lap and it made me extremely uncomfortable to see them affectionate towards each other. Throughout the entire brunch, I was biting my tongue. However, when he mentioned that he wanted to purchase a house in another state for them to start a family soon after the wedding, I lost it. Things got extremely heated from here. Part 2. My daughter is engaged to a man 20 years older than her. My daughter is 19 and engaged to a 40-year-old who she's been dating for 6 months. At brunch, he mentioned that he was going to move them to another state and start a family soon after the wedding. This was my breaking point. This man already has been married 3 times and has a few children from those marriages. He's also closer to my age than her age, and his children are closer to her age. My daughter could tell that I was about to burst because she quickly tried to change the subject. However, I slammed my hand on the table and expressed how inappropriate this relationship is. I called this man out for basically grooming my daughter. My daughter quickly came to his defense, saying that age is just a number and that she's a consenting adult. I told her that I would never approve of this and left. My husband and I are furious about the situation and have tried telling our daughter that this is wrong. However, every time we try to talk to her about this, she blows up on us. She's made it clear that we can't talk her out of it and I'm at a loss. Now she's invited the rest of the family to dinner to meet her future husband. Everyone has been messaging me about it nonstop. Some are shocked about the age difference and others, like my sister, are telling me that I should stop trying to stand in the way of love. I want to shake my daughter into reality, but I feel that every time I mention my disapproval, it pushes her further towards him. Am I wrong and should I just accept this?
My boyfriend has a longtime female friend who's clearly into him and I don't know what to do. This is gonna sound like the typical insecure girlfriend, but I promise it's not like that. My boyfriend and I have been together for over 6 months and he's really great. He has a friend that he's had for years who is a girl. Normally, I'm not the type to be all like, you're not allowed to hang out with a single girl alone, but I'm considering telling my boyfriend that he's not allowed to hang out with this girl alone. This girl is obviously so into him and she definitely wants me to know she's coming for him. She keeps saying stuff like, you don't know him like I do yet. Or, we used to go to that place together all the time long before you guys started dating. She also had cute pet names for him and I didn't like it, and as soon as I heard it, I told my boyfriend I didn't like it and he made her stop. Oh my gosh, Josh, remember when we went on a hike, just the 2 of us? That was the best day. I asked her straight up if she was into him and her response pissed me off. She was like, I know it's intimidating how close he and I are, but don't worry, you're the girlfriend, I'm just a friend, right? With a smug smile on her face. I got so mad, but I couldn't talk to my boyfriend about it. I want to tell him to cut her out of his life so bad, but I don't know if I can do that. My boyfriend's dad passed away 2 years ago with a heart condition. He told me that his dad was his best friend growing up, so it hit him really hard. That's why he says she's like a sister to him. That's why I don't know what to do. I already asked him to set boundaries like she can't text late at night or come over to his place unannounced all the time and not interrupting our alone time. He was the only family my boyfriend had. Apparently, this girl really helped him get through it. She apparently was there for him throughout the whole thing. My boyfriend doesn't realize that she's into him, and I kind of don't blame him on that because all of her flirts are subtle enough that he doesn't realize, but enough to get me riled up. I know my boyfriend isn't into her at all, and he's completely friend-zoned her, but it's still so frustrating. I hate to admit it, but she's so good at getting under my skin, and I don't know what to do. I really need some advice.
I was basically an accident. When I was born, my 5 siblings were already in their late teens to early 20s, and my parents were both 46. I was never abused in my childhood, but I was neglected and my entire family resented me. My parents didn't think they'd get pregnant again, but here we are. I was never looked after for by anyone and basically had to raise myself. No one ever played with me, spent time with me, or anything. They never bought me anything significant, it was always hand-me-downs. I realized this as I got older and I focused on myself. I thought that something was wrong with me because my siblings all received love and attention, so if I improved myself and did things for them, maybe they'd accept and love me too. I always got the best grades, made sure I did all my chores, always kept my room clean, and so on. However, nothing I did was ever good enough for them. We celebrated my father's birthday yesterday. My siblings and my mom wouldn't be around until we went out for dinner, so it was just me and him. I cooked him breakfast and lunch, did all the chores, and bought him a tie. I'm only 16 and on a budget. The most he came up with was a pathetic thank you. I could tell he wanted me to leave him alone, so I did. Finally, we all went out to dinner and they all had a good time while I sat in the corner ignored. This is how it usually is. When we got home, I broke down and started crying in front of them. Part 2 of how I told my family I wish they'd given me up. I don't know what triggered it, but I started crying. Maybe it was because of them being so happy together. When they asked me what happened, I just blew up at them and told them how I felt about my entire childhood. I told them how they never showed me any kind of love or affection, among other things. I ended up by saying I wish they had aborted me if they hate me so much or could have given me up for adoption so they could live their lives without me. My oldest sister started to say something, but I ran up to my room, closed the door, and went to sleep listening to music as they knocked on my door. When I faced my family the next day, the first thing they all did was give me a big hug, which honestly surprised me. It was the first time in years they showed me any affection. They also prepared me food, and after eating, we all talked. My oldest nephew, who was 2 years younger than me, stumbled across my post and showed it to my sister. They all apologized for how they treated me. They confirmed that I was an accident and none of them wanted to deal with another baby, so I messed up everything. But they didn't word it like that. Their reasoning was that I always did so well in life, so they were able to ignore me and pretend like I wasn't there, basically. They said they would do their best from now on to make me feel as part of the family. I thought about it long and hard and decided I'll try to form some kind of bond with them if it's even possible. Mainly, I'm going to live for myself and work towards my future. Storytime about the best thing I saw while working in a restaurant. We've got a veteran who comes in on the regular named Hank. Hank lost his leg and hand in Iraq. When seeing this, people will often pick up his tab when he's in here, but he never feels like it's deserved, so he tries to lay low. He wears long pants to cover his prosthetic leg and doesn't wear anything to show off his veteran status. He doesn't like attention and it's clear he doesn't feel special treatment is deserved. So, obviously, we shut down because of COVID. We reopened when our state did, but after a week of indoor dining, the owner decided to go back to delivery and takeout for everyone's safety. Thankfully, business is still booming. I don't know the specifics of Hank's situation, but I think he lost his job sometime during the shutdown. Before COVID, we'd see him at least once a month, but this was the first time we'd seen him since we reopened. To make matters worse, he would easily put away 6 tacos or a whole chicken plus sides and plenty of beer when he'd come in, but this time he just ordered a small burrito and a water. He didn't mention the different order though, just said how excited he was to come through again and looking forward to it all week. We put in his order while I went to go get him paid up. However, his card declined. I started to tell him, but he could see it on the screen and went, shit. Shame and panic washed over his face as I tried running it again and again when he gave me another card that declined. Meanwhile, it was the height of lunch rush and the line was getting longer, so people were peering to see what was taking so long. After running Hank's cards a few times, all of his cards declined. He started saying, hey, you know what? Did you actually make the thing yet? But then the bag came out with his name unmistakably on it. He started digging around his pockets for cash and came up with $5.25. The meal was $7. I told him, don't worry about it. You'll get us next time. Knowing how embarrassed he got when people tried to cover him for a good reason, being a veteran, and not wanting to pile on by being forward that I was covering him for a not so great reason, hard times. However, he wasn't entertaining the idea of taking food without paying it in full. Finally, without making eye contact with us, he said, no, it's okay. I'm just gonna go to my place and get some more cash. However, I knew that look on his face and the tone in his voice. There was no more to go get. It's a look and tone I've used myself and seen from others more times than I wish I had. I wanted to insist he take the food, but I wasn't sure which was worse. To force food on him and risk damaging his dignity, or to let him save face but go without the lunch he's been looking so forward to. Before I could decide, the girl behind him, who had been texting for most of our transaction, had just begun to tune in and caught the last bit. She asked, hey, what's the difference on what he owes? I said, $2. She went in her purse and handed it right to me. Hank started to try and hand it back to her, telling her it wasn't necessary, but she cut him off. She cut him off by saying, no, it's $2. We've all been there. Enjoy your lunch. As he finally gave in and went to put her money on the counter, she noticed his prosthetic hand. hand. She did a double take and said, actually, no, you know what? Let me get the whole thing. Give him his money back. Then went in her purse and got the rest. He tried to stop her from doing it, but she replied, listen, I hope I'm not being presumptuous, but you're a veteran, right? He nodded. Yeah, that's what I thought. I served 2 hours in Afghanistan. There's a guy walking around on false legs out there who's the reason I'm walking around at all. So please, allow me to do this and don't think twice about it. I tell you to just get anything you want off the menu if times weren't so tight for me right now too. At this point, an older guy with a bow tie came up and announced, I couldn't help but overhear. Put both their tabs on me, get them anything they want, and then get them some more. Thank you both for your service. Hank was getting pretty emotional at this point, but even still, they both started to vigorously protest to the man that he didn't need to do that because it was their job and they both signed up for it. Bowtie guy wouldn't hear it. He must have had his own story because he got red in the face and blinked back tears but stayed silent. He left his credit card with me and went back to his spot in line. That's when another guy stepped up to the register. Part 2 of the best thing I saw while working in a restaurant. This guy handed me his card as well and said, yeah, I'm gonna split that tab, so really guys, go wild, you're American heroes. They both empathetically told him no, they're not heroes, but this guy cut him off saying, oh please, I get overwhelmed playing Call of Duty, you're heroes and I'm glad to thank you for it. So they started ordering and the girl knew just what she wanted. Hank asked how much our steak and rice platter special would cost. Older bowtie dude called him not to tell him the prices and get him whatever he wants. He came up and said, son, no one can put a price on your sacrifice. Call of Duty guy splitting the tab chimed in, the meat that we're giving you is a lot less valuable than the meat you gave up for us. His friend elbowed him to shut up, horrified, but it got a belly laugh out of Hank. Throughout this, no one noticed not only had Hank lost his hand, but also his leg. His pants covered and he's got too much honor to bring it up. By now, the kitchen got a whiff of what was happening and loaded them up real good. This lady was so moved that she paid for Old Man Bowtie and Call of Duty's meals. It was a domino effect. The owner was so disturbed that 2 veterans had struggled to pay for their meals. He instituted a military gets this special free day of the week even though we've been hemorrhaging money since the pandemic closures and keeping the doors open on a week-to-week basis. Hank told all of his veteran friends and they've been coming in with their families. It's been great for business.